our story begins.
Jim Carrey is an American actor of Canadian origin and an unsurpassed master of the comedy genre with unique and lively facial expressions. However, his smile and high spirits don't reflect his inner world. His path to success was full of adversity and disappointment. We've made this video to help you understand the ups and downs of the fans' favorite. Jim Carrey, how the king of comedy lives and how he spends his millions. James Eugene Carrey was born on January 17, 1962, in the small Canadian town of Newmarket, Ontario. At the time of birth, the future star already had an older brother and two sisters. Jim's ancestors were representatives of many nations, including the Irish, French, and Scots. The family's original surname was Carey, which eventually transformed into Carrey. His parents were creative people, and both could have built a musical career, but life circumstances forced the father, Percy Carrey, to become an accountant, and his mother became a housewife. The mother of many children was unstable, and some even considered her crazy. Kathleen was diagnosed with a mental disorder when a person is constantly worried about their well-being, diagnosing themselves with non-existent diseases. The cause of it is most often a predisposition to depression and anxiety. Then, looking at his mother, Jim began to invent all sorts of funny scenes and make funny faces to entertain her a little. Family life was neither stable nor easy. In the late 70s, they moved to the suburbs of Toronto. Previously, his father had been fired from his job, and it became impossible to provide the same standard of living. Their destination was the Scarborough area, a popular place for immigrants arriving in Canada. Here, in a lively whirlpool of nationalities and religions, Percy started working as a security guard at a car wheels factory. Jim went to school and in the evenings helped his father at work, along with his brother and sisters. At some point, they could not stand it and quit the job altogether, and as a result, they had to move to a van. After a while, the father managed to get a job as an accountant in nearby Burlington. Here, in an industrial suburb, Jim lived for 8 years and studied at Aldershot High School, where he continued to amuse everyone with his acting and even put together a musical band, Spoons. After graduating from school, Jim went to work with his father, but the dream of a comedian's career overcame his passive consent to work all his life as a factory worker. Moreover, he had the most active support of his parents. Kathleen sewed the costumes for his performances, and Percy personally brought 15-year-old Jim to the popular stand-up club Yuck Yucks and helped him write the first monologue. The guy didn't blow the audience away that time, but it didn't stop him. A little later, the sketches started generating income, and Carrey managed to become a local star. Full of optimism, he went to America, where he tried his hand at an audition for the popular show Saturday Night Live. Alas, he was refused, but he didn't give up. Jim continued to work in Toronto, persistently using every opportunity to be spotted. As a result, he met the popular Canadian Rodney Dangerfield, who invited him to tour with him. On tour, Jim Carrey warmed up to the audience with his skits before the main performance. This gave him strength, and he finally shaped his desire to live and work in Hollywood. Therefore, he refused Rodney's offer to continue working with him and rushed to Los Angeles. There, he got a job in the American show The Comedy Store and soon started appearing on television. In 1981, he made his debut in the lead role in the film Rubberface, which wasn't successful. This was followed by the movie Copper Mountain, All in Good Taste, Finders Keepers, and the children's series The Duck Factory, and his first feature film in 1985 was the ambiguous film Once Bitten in the genre of comedy horror. A simple, vulgar story about a vampire chasing a young guy didn't receive overwhelming approval, but it didn't fail at the box office, collecting $10 million and becoming his stepping stone to the big cinema. A few years later, after the fantasy melodrama Peggy Sue Got Married, Jim already starred in the movie The Deadpool, together with such icons as Clint Eastwood and Liam Neeson. The legend goes that Carrey was cast after he, even before the audition, made everyone laugh to tears. In 1987, Jim's life changed. He married Melissa Womer, who at the time worked as a waitress at the Comedy Store Club. In the same year, the couple had a daughter, Jane Aaron. In the next few years, viewers could see Carrey in the films Earth Girls Are Easy, Mike Hammer, Murder Takes All, Pink Cadillac, and Doing Time on Maple Drive. But he earned his first decent money working in the television series In Living Color in the early 90s. For one episode, he received $25,000, and in total, he was a part of the series for 4 years. These years, alas, were not only the beginning of a brilliant career for the actor, but also a sad time. In 1991, his mother died of kidney failure, and 3 years later, his father also passed away. In 1993, Jim rose to fame after the eccentric comedy Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, in which he played the main role.
Going to find it. If I have to tear this universe another black hole, I'm going to find it. I've got to, mister!
This quirky detective in a Hawaiian shirt is not only instantly made the audience fall in love with him, but also helped Carrey earn $350,000. By 1994, this figure dramatically increased. He received $7 million for the film Dumb and Dumber.
Statistically, they say you're more likely to get killed on the way to the airport. Like in a head-on crash or flying off a cliff or getting trapped under a gas truck. That's the worst. I have this cousin. Well, I have this cousin.
Could you keep your eyes on the road, please?
Oh, yeah.
The film was called a laughing machine, compared with a hiccup attack, scolded, called stupid and rude, but it earned some decent money at the global box office, collecting almost $250 million. After the death of his mother, Jim had fallen into a depression, which drove a wedge between him and his wife Melissa. They were on the verge of a breakup, and the last straw was Jim's infatuation with his partner in the movie Dumb and Dumber, Lauren Holly. After the divorce, which had cost Carrey $7 million, he married Lauren, but the marriage lasted only a few months. Since then, Jim has never tied the knot, although he was engaged to Renee Zellweger and dated many beautiful women. In 1994, the extravagant comedy The Mask became a huge hit, which, according to the creator's idea, was supposed to be a horror film. However, they quickly found out that the Italians had already filmed a horror with a similar plot several years ago. To prevent stopping the work and avoid accusations of plagiarism, the director decided to shoot a comedy. For this purpose, Jim Carrey was an excellent option. The charming Canadian brought a lot of touches to the movie, for which made The Mask what it was.
Powers, I could be
A superhero!
I could fight crime, protect the innocent.
Work for world peace!
First, in memory of his mother, Jim asked the costume designers to sew him a yellow suit identical to the one that Kathleen had made for him for his first movie audition. Secondly, on screen, Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask should have been much more static. They wanted to use a special mask with huge teeth that would limit facial expressions. As a result, they decided to apply intricate makeup, and Jim got used to the teeth, and even could talk with them. The film was met with public delight and nominated for almost all the most prestigious awards, including Oscar, Saturn, BAFTA, and Golden Globe. Its box office total was $350 million, with a budget of only $23 million, while Carrey received $540,000 for his work in the film. In 1995, the creators of Ace Ventura decided to repeat its success and release the sequel. For it, Jim received a huge payout of $15 million, which was half of the entire budget of the film. By that time, Hollywood directors realized that the participation of this talented comedian in the film guaranteed the viewer's interest in a large box office. The producers of Batman Forever also thought the same, who, after rejecting Robin Williams for the role of the supervillain Riddler, invited Jim Carrey.
I will help you solve the greatest riddle of all, the mother of all riddles. Who is Batman?
By the way, Michael Jackson also wanted to get this role, but he wasn't even considered. The payout for the movie again had 6 zeros. This time, Jim earned $7 million. Financial success continued to grow stronger, and the actor received a whopping $20 million for the film The Cable Guy. In life, at the same time, he showed originality and had fun anywhere he could. So to negotiate a contract for this film, he obliged his managers and lawyer to come in Hawaiian shirts, hinting at Ace Ventura. The next comedy, Liar Liar, which Jim chose over the role of Dr. Evil, brought him not only an income of $20 million, but also a nomination for the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor.
I'll have to hear good cause, Consul.
I can't lie!
Commendable, Mr. Reed, but I'm still waiting to hear good cause. Now, do you have one or not?
Not!
In addition, People magazine named Jim Carrey one of the most handsome people in the world. But all this was not enough for Jim Carrey. He wanted to prove to everyone that he is not just a funny face in another stupid comedy. Not a weirdo in strange clothes, but a real actor with a wide dramatic range. He had that opportunity in the film The Truman Show, which was released in 1998 and made a real splash.
Slice me and peel me. There's so many
Choice!
Do something!
What'd you say? Who are you talking to?
thing. I didn't say anything.
Everyone saw in it what they wanted: social restrictions, political oppression, the absurdity of TV shows, and the value of every moment in life. Carrey was awarded the Golden Globe Award for this film and received $12 million. Next, Jim appeared in the family film Simon Birch, which captivated the audience. The biographical drama Man on the Moon, which tells about the life of the famous American comedian Andy Kaufman, was released in 1999.
Actually, the movie is really great. It's just filled with colorful characters, like the one I just did and the one I'm doing now.
Such famous actors as Sean Penn, Kevin Spacey, and Nicolas Cage auditioned for this role, but director Milos Forman saw Jim's audition and the decision was made instantly. Despite everyone trying to change Milos' mind and persuade him not to trust Carrey with this role, Jim did almost the impossible, literally turning himself into another person. He didn't cat on the set, he lived the life of his character, completely adopting his habits, gestures, and facial expressions. He even demanded that everyone, including the director, call him Andy. As a result, the film turned out to be stunning and received a whole bunch of nominations for prestigious awards, while Carrey received a Golden Globe and earned $12 million. The new Millennium brought Carrey several interesting films at once. For example, the comedy Me, Myself, and Irene, where he played a man with a split personality, and the family fantasy movie How the Grinch Stole Christmas. In 2001, the melodrama The Majestic was released. In total, Jim earned over $40 million for these films. Jim set a new record for the payout in 2003, starring in the hilarious comedy Bruce Almighty. The actor received $25 million for it.
Surely I say unto you, dudes, I do not wish to fight. So as soon as you apologize and make a full reckoning of your transgressions, I shall absolve you and continue along the path of righteousness.
In 2004, two notable films were released on the screens: the fantasy film Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events, and the romantic drama Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Wait.
What?
I don't know.
What
Just
do you
wait.
want, Joel?
Just wait. I don't know. I want you to wait for just a while.
The latter won the Academy Awards, Saturn, and BAFTA, and received a dozen more nominations, while Carrey received $10 million. In the next 3 years, only 2 films were released with Carrey's participation: the comedy Fun with Dick and Jane, and the psychological thriller Number 23, in which the actor took part with pleasure since he isn't a big fan of numerology. In 2005, Jim started dating Jenny McCarthy. He treated her very tenderly and even took care of her sick child. But 5 years later, the couple announced their separation. Jenny signed a commitment not to disclose the details of their personal life, for which he received compensation of $25 million. In 2008, Carrey voiced in the cartoon Horton Hears a Who and starred in the film Yes Man, for which he studied Korean, and on the set of which he was seriously injured, breaking 3 ribs.
Because I'm gonna take this foot and I'm gonna whop you on that side of your face. There's not a goddamn thing. Just don't break my teeth off on the curb, okay? But let's really sell this. Give him a
For the sake of that movie, he even refused the sequel to Bruce Almighty, which was eventually filmed without him. The following year, the films A Christmas Carol and I Love You, Philip Morris were released. The latter was based on the book by Steve McVicker and created a lot of waves. The intimate scenes made the movie almost underground, even though the distributor demanded to remove unnecessarily explicit footage. After his iconic dramatic roles, in which the actor invested as much emotion as possible, Jim gradually began to frighten the producers with his inappropriate behavior. While playing the role of a schizophrenic in Me, Myself, and Irene, he started experiencing delusions of persecution, made some strange statements, and could throw a tantrum over nothing. The creators of Man on the Moon did not dare to publish footage of the backstage, which they initially wanted to edit into bloopers because he scared some people literally to a stupor. These anxiety states might have been the reason why his career suffered a blow by 2010. The comedy Mr. Popper's Penguins was somewhat lucky, but in general, there are fewer and fewer good offers. At that time, some underwhelming films like Burt Wonderstone and Kick-Ass 2 were released with his participation, plus several TV series. A grandson became a beacon of light for Jim. The daughter from his first marriage, Jane, gave birth to him on February 26, 2010. The baby, who was named Jackson Riley Santana, immediately became a star as his grandfather happily posed with him in front of the cameras and wrote adoring posts on social media. In 2014, fans of Dumb and Dumber finally lived to see the sequel. They had to wait almost 20 years, but despite the decent box office reception, the genre seemed to be very outdated to experts. Failures continued to rain down on Jim, not only in the creative field. In September 2015, actress Catriona White, whom Jim had been dating for several years, committed suicide in her apartment. Just a few days ago before the incident, the couple had announced their breakup. The girl's parents blamed Carrey for the incident since the drugs from which she died were prescribed in his name. In addition, Catriona left a suicide note which stated that the actor infected her with a venereal disease, introduced her to drugs, and destroyed her as a person. The trial dragged on for several years. Jim defended himself, claiming that his girlfriend suffered from depression and the relatives didn't want justice but money. Before one of the sessions in 2017, Jim had behaved inappropriately in front of the cameras at New York Fashion Week, which once again made people talk about his mental state. However, he managed to defend his innocence in Catriona's death. In the absence of big projects, Jim starred in the TV series Kidding for 2 years, which was well appreciated by the public and was nominated in 2 Golden Globe Award categories. Carrey was also its executive producer. In 2020, the animated feature film Sonic the Hedgehog was released, in which Jim played the main villain.
Are you in charge here?
Yes, I am. Wrong. I'm in charge. Is Major
I'm in charge.
The Adventures of the Humanoid Blue Hedgehog were positively received. 2 years later, they made a sequel and planned the production of the following parts. At the beginning of 2022, the actor helped one of the most prominent pop musicians of our times, The Weeknd, to realize an unusual idea for his album Dawn FM. In it, Carrey played a radio host who becomes the guide to the world of the dead. Needless to say, Jim Carrey has achieved a lot during his career. Having started with 3 performances and countless auditions, he received the title of one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. At the moment, his fortune is estimated at $180 million. With such income, the actor can afford any whims. Back in 1994, he bought a villa in the western part of Los Angeles for $3.8 million. Over time, he added a neighboring plot for almost $2 million. The extensive property is surrounded by greenery, hiding a spacious home with an area of 8,000 square feet, a cozy guest house, a swimming pool, and a tennis court. Jim also has a luxury 6-story apartment in Manhattan with an area of 7,000 square feet, which he bought for $13.5 million. Even though the building was built in 1824, it is in excellent condition and is ideal for a star like Jim Carrey. In 2012, he showed interest in a very unusual designed apartment in Brooklyn, the main feature of which is grand panoramic views and a 13-foot dial. The cost of such an estate was estimated by realtors at $19 million with a discount. At that time, he was dating a Russian student, Anastasia Vitkina, and the press immediately concluded that the actor was looking for an apartment to settle down with her. Jim also had a house in Malibu, 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and a lot of space for relaxation, with an abundance of light colors and bright accents to fit well with the local colors. A fireplace and an observation deck are the main features of the house. The villa on the shore at the time of purchase had cost Carrey almost $10 million, and in 2013, the actor sold this property for $13.4 million. As for cars, Jim is not a big fan of them. There are only 2 cars in his fleet, an elegant silver Mercedes AMG SL63 worth $155,000 and a luxury Porsche Panamera, the price of which is around $200,000. However, the actor owns a luxury Gulfstream B private jet designed for 20 passengers. Experts estimate the cost of the Steel Bird at $50 million. In addition to cinema, Jim has other hobbies. For example, he makes paintings and sculptures. The creative process was even captured in the short film I Needed Color, which delighted his fans. In addition, his book titled Memoirs and Misinformation was published in 2020. The book is a reflection on love, friendship, and fate. It drops the Hollywood curtain and exposes personal secrets. For example, in it, Jim calls Renee Zellweger his last great love, but this is a rather unique work. It is full of literary hoaxes and resembles a broken mirror that you can use to look at the very complex inner world of the author. But not every reader can figure out what truth is and what is fiction. Jim is known for his political cartoons of Donald Trump, which he shared in 2017. In general, Carrey actively speaks out on socio-political topics. He supported Ukraine in the war with Russia and sharply criticized Vladimir Putin. The actor ended his post on Twitter with the words, "Beware the unloved." Jim Carrey is a funny guy with sad eyes that reveal his difficult fate and childhood trauma. He is a lucky man in his profession and a handsome man who, unfortunately, never met the love of his life on the way. But life goes on. Which means that there is hope that in one of our next videos, we will talk about the actor's new Oscar-winning roles on his beautiful wedding. What would you like to wish Jim Carrey?
Thank you very much.
If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything interesting.